Hi, it's Michelle from 12 by 12 Cardstock Shop, and today we are going to learn how to make iris fold cards. These cards are really fun and they look so challenging, but the more I dug into it, it's actually not that hard. Now, just full disclosure, I'm a complete newbie. So if you're a newbie as well, you're in good company because I figured this out for us and I'm excited to teach you how to do it. So there's a few supplies that you need to get started. You need a piece of cardstock to design your template, which also doubles as the front of your card, this piece right here. So if you want white or if you want something else, you can choose whatever color you want. I used white, so it's easier to teach. And then you'll need some Scotch tape, some washi tape or removable tape, some scissors, and some pattern paper. And I love these little 6x6 pads for this project because they're kind of the perfect size for that. I'm going to show you how to make your own template, a square template. That's kind of the beginner level. And then we'll go from there and learn how to assemble it. And then I'll show you at the end another idea. So let's jump in and get started. There are actually tons of iris folding patterns online. And if you just Google it, you'll find a ton of them. But I'm going to show you how to make your own, just because I think that's part of the process of learning this, is knowing how they're made. But again, you can find multiple on the internet. This is a really basic square. We're going to start with that. But on the internet, you'll find all kinds of shapes. So let me show you how to do this. So the first thing we're going to do is cut a square that's the size of whatever our card front's going to be. So I'm going to make a 5x5 card. So I've cut a 5x5 square. And then obviously we don't want the iris fold to go all the way to the edges of the card. So for my card, I'm actually going to have my iris fold be 4x4 in the center of my card. So this is a 5x5 square. This is a 4x4 cut out of the middle. So to do that, I'm just going to measure an inch in from each side. Now, if you have a Cricut machine, this would be so easy because you can just, whoops, I just messed that up. This would be so easy on a Cricut because you could just, you can use the measuring tools within the software and get everything perfectly centered. So, but this is the old school way. So I'm going to do, whoops, I'm just measuring an inch in from either side. And then one more side. Okay, so now we're just going to connect these little notches straight across. So we're going to go from side to side here. And this is just helping us get a straight line to have them on both sides. Again, this will be way easier in a cutting software. Okay, this is the easiest part, easy peasy. So now I have a 4x4 square in the center of my card. Now the next step, imagine this, this was all one piece to begin with. We're gonna design this little rotating spiral. So the iris fold, if you notice, it's actually a spiral that's just made out of geometric shapes. That's kind of how you create it. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna do 1/2 inch in. We're going to just start on one corner here. We're going to note where 1/2 inch is. Then I'm just going to rotate one rotation. And I'm going 1/2 inch from the corner of my 4-inch square. So I'm not worrying about these outside edges. I'm just worried about this inside part. Then I'm going to rotate it. Measure 1/2 inch. Rotate. 1/2 inch. Now you want to try to be as accurate as you can, but seriously, you're not like launching someone to the moon. So if you're a little bit off, it's fine. Nobody's going to die. Now I'm going to connect the lines. So I'm not going diagonal. I'm not going across. I'm going from dot to dot, closest to closest. So just starting with this dot, finding the next dot, lining them up and drawing a line. Rotating, doing the exact same thing where I just ended that last one. You can see here's my point, here's my second point. Just gonna match those up. Rotate. Do it again. Rotate. And do it again. So now I have a square within my square. Now, the best way to do this is to number them as you go. So I'm gonna do, you're gonna work clockwise. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now I'm gonna draw 1/2 inch from the edge of the square that I just created. Rotate 1/2 inch. Rotate. And one more. Okay, now I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to take this point and this point, hold the ruler so it's touching both, and draw a line. Rotate, same thing. Rotate. And rotate. So we're just creating smaller and smaller squares inside of each other with kind of a spiral design. So now I need to number this. So you want to think working clockwise. If I go to the clockwise corner of my 4, the next spot would be 5, 6, 7, 8. So then the next time I'm just going to keep moving one more. So you might be tempted to put like the next one right above, but you want to move, go to the clockwise edge and then do the next one. If that makes sense. I'm not sure how to describe that, so it'll make sense. So I'm going to keep just working on this, continuing to draw my little 1/2 inch squares, get to the center. Now you want to just keep doing this. Most iris folds stop when the center square is about 1 inch. So I am going to just keep working and get this finished up. So I went ahead and finished up my little design, and the next thing I need to do is cut out this center box. So essentially what you're going to do is you're wanting, when you design this, you're going to be layering the paper. This is what will be attached to the front of your card. You're going to be using this. This is like the template, and at the end it gets removed so that just your strips show through. So this is going to be your card front, and this is the template that we're going to remove where the paper is going to poke through. After you see the finished product, you'll understand what I mean. But we need to cut this center piece out. So again, this would be a lot easier on a Cricut machine. You can make your own little templates, but I'm going to use a paper cutter. And I'm only cutting the center part out. Now, if you're doing something that's a shape, I'll show you a little trick here in a minute. I also did a circle one, and in that case, I'm going to turn my circle into a pumpkin. So I was able to just cut a slit, and then cut my circle out because I know I'm going to put a pumpkin stem there, so it doesn't matter. So if you kind of pre-plan your card and you decide that it's just fine for you to cut a slit, then you could cut a slit to access this, maybe make it just a little easier. Or you can just draw this in your Cricut or Silhouette software and have a template you can use again and again. Okay, so now I have removed the inside square. This is our template. This is going to be our card front. So of course we'll turn it over so that the drawings don't show when we actually use it on our card. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is prep the strips that will become the iris fold. So this looks, I like the look, I mean, you can do this however you want. I like the look where you kind of layer the same colors on every corner. It looks pretty. Or you could kind of do a spiral of colors. So This is a Doodlebug Design 6x6 pad, and for cards, these little 6x6 pads are the perfect size because you get lots of different papers in the smaller size. So I picked out 4 papers. They have the same pattern on them, just kind of various shades. And we're going to go ahead and cut strips out of these. Now, when you're cutting your strips, you need to remember that these are going to be layered. So I know that from this point to this point is a 1/2 inch. The strips get folded in half. So I need my strip to be at least 1 inch, because 1/2 inch times 2 is 1 inch. I'm taking a 1 inch strip, folding it in half, which will give me 1/2 inch. And you want a little wiggle room. So I'm going to probably do 1 1/8 just to give myself a little bit more room. And lighter weight cardstock works better. It would be hard to kind of fold thicker cardstock. So I would say 65 pound or lighter would probably be your best bet. It looks beautiful with vellum too, because you can kind of see the layers in there. So let me go ahead and cut my strips next. This iris fold has 16 sections, so I need 16 strips to complete it. And after I've got my 1 1/4 inch strips cut, I'm just gonna fold them in half. You could certainly score them if that makes it easier. I'm just gonna wing it. And so I fold it in half, and how it's gonna look when you do the template, you're just gonna place them along there and adhere them. So let me go ahead and get the rest of my strips folded, and then we'll start assembling this. Okay, I've got all my little cardstock strips made and folded in half, and now we're ready to start assembling this. You need 2 kinds of tape. A removable tape like washi tape, and then a strong adhesive tape like Scotch tape. So we're gonna first adhere our template to our work surface. Now, if you can see, I'm working with the back side of my card front. So the one that I've drawn lines all over. So I'm gonna just use my washi tape to secure this to my card base, or to my work surface, sorry, just so it's not sliding around on me. And then I'm gonna do this piece. Doesn't get it, it stays loose, but I want to just kind of keep it in place. So I'm just gonna use some washi, kind of fold it in half to just keep that in place for me, like so. And now how this is gonna work is I'm gonna start laying these strips. I don't want to adhere these strips in any way to the centerpiece, because when I'm done, I'm gonna pull this centerpiece out and discard it, and I'll just be left with a design. So I do need to adhere these down, but I don't want them to I don't want to adhere them at all to this centerpiece. So that's where the Scotch tape comes in. I'm gonna attach them on the sides. Okay, so let's start with the mint. Now this is the longest piece. I'm just gonna gauge about how long I need it to be. I want to leave a little bit of overlap so I have room to adhere it. So I'm just going to snip that right there. And whoops, I should be starting at number 1. That's how this works. Okay, so I want this to cover every single part of that number 1. It has to overlap that number 1 completely, but be butted right up against the line where that template is. So that's my goal. I'm going to use my Scotch tape and hold this in place. And I'm going to adhere it I'm adhering it to the back side of what will become the card front. Again, I'm not letting any of the tape get on that center piece because I'm going to pull that out. Okay. So then let's do the darker for this next one. Again, I want to overlap a bit so I have room to tape and line it up right with the edge. Okay, then let's do dark gray next. Trim that down a little. Now you're on the back side now, so it's okay for you to tape overlapping these pieces because these are not going to show through the front. Okay, so when you get into the center, you will no longer have access to the edges of the template, and you'll have to kind of adhere them to each other. Okay, now we're going to do light gray. Again, I'm going to line that up right with that line. And I should have said you want the folded part positioned to the inside. I neglected to say that, but make sure that all your folds are what is in the center portion. Okay. All right, so we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're ready for 5. And again, I'm trying to kind of keep a color scheme going here. So I'm going to use my light mint again. The back side of this is going to look messy, but no one will ever know. And again, this is why lighter cardstock is better, just because it starts to get pretty thick when you're layering this up. This cardstock is actually 80 pound, and it's probably a little bit too thick for this project. But I loved the colors, so I decided to just go for it. All right, you get the point. I'm just going to continue working around the edges, taping as I'm going and layering. Again, not taping anything to that centerpiece because it's coming out. So I'm going to continue working, and then I'll jump back with you and show you the finished product. You can see we've got it all done. All the little pieces are layered. It looks like a total disaster on the back side, which is just perfectly fine because when we flip it over, it's going to be beautiful. But I've just got all these taped. Now this is pretty thick because this is thicker cardstock, so we'll want to use some foam dots, but let's peel it up for the big reveal. And again, that centerpiece is going to stay. Ta-da! It's so cool. It just looks so cool when you're done. So for the last thing, you can leave this like a layer behind it and pop it up, or you could put a piece of paper right behind that last square. That one's not big enough, but you know, you could glue it right to the back, or you could, when you pop your card up, you can have it something in there. So that is how to make an iris fold, and we're going to go ahead and finish up this card. I wanted to show you one more thing. What happens if you wanted to do a shape? Now, as a beginner, it's probably best to just download a pattern off the internet, but I wanted to try and make a pumpkin. So what I did is I started with my same 5-inch circle, and I traced a circle. I just found this little ribbon, I traced it, and my circle from side to side was 3 1/4. So you need to create, basically this works off squares. As you can see, there's squares inside here. So you need to create a square that fits inside of your circle. So in this case, I went an inch smaller, and I did my circle edge to edge was 3 1/4. So I did an inch smaller square to start off with. And I actually cut a square out to do that, traced it, centered it up, traced it, and then you just do the same technique, adding about every 1/2 inch your little marks and drawing your lines and labeling them. So now I have a circle one, and I'm going to make a little pumpkin card out of this, and this slit stem will cover it, so no problem there. All right, so I went ahead and finished off my card. I just mounted it on a piece of cardstock for a card base and added a little bit of pattern paper in the middle, and then a fun little bow and a happy birthday. So that is my completed iris fold card. Did also make another version with a circle and made a little pumpkin card. So these are so fun, and I know these basic shapes can become so many different things. And like I said, check online because there's lots of different options for already created patterns as well. So thanks for watching, and we hope you make these.